everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher and to the new shop. This is part 2 of moving into the workshop, but like getting it ready to move in. So I am going to be working on some cabinetry today. I have already built cabinets and I removed them from my other shop and I'm moving them in here. Well, actually I already moved them in here, but we need to get them actually set up in here. One thing that did happen since the last video is that my landlord raised the lights and it looks so much better in here. There's still a couple of things that he needs to do. I got a utility sink for the bathroom back there, and he's gonna install that for me. But after that, I'm pretty much ready to move in officially. So I am super, super excited. I am gonna be putting the cabinetry back here along this wall, as you guys may remember from the last video when I was kind of giving you a little tour. So let me show you the cabinets and then I'll show you my plan and talk through that a little bit. Here they are. So the cabinets all came out super easy. I actually built them last January, like in 2024, and they were much easier to take out than they were to actually build. But I'm really glad that I built them the way that I did, because now wherever I go, you know, shop to shop, or like when I get my future home with a shop, I can totally maneuver these however I want. They're kind of modular, kind of like a modular couch, if you will. So they can pretty much go in whatever order I want. There's 8 small ones and then there's 2 taller ones. The taller ones aren't exactly the same, but they are the same height. So it's kind of symmetrical, if you will, for the most part. And so my plan is to do the 8 cabinets next to each other so that I can have a workbench, and then the 2 tall ones will be at the sides. But I'm gonna need to do some measuring because there are some electrical outlets over here that stick out from the wall about 3 inches or so. So I'm gonna need to cut that out of the back so that they can kind of get as close to the wall as possible. And then I'm gonna, just kind of measure and see where everything's gonna be fitting. I got the tallest, biggest one first. So I wanna make sure that I have enough room for my spray booth back here. And so I'm not gonna start this too close to the wall because I need at least 10 feet. And so I think that's gonna be probably right around this mark. But I also don't wanna go past the pole on the end here. So I need to measure and see how far I can kind of start and how much room I have over here versus how much room the cabinets will take up. 213 inches is my full length from end to end of my cabinets. So we're gonna see at this pole and how far we can go from here. Oh yeah, we'll be perfect because 213 inches from the pole is right here. So that means that realistically, we start at this plug-in with 213. We'll have plenty of room on the other side of the plug-ins. Perfect, perfect. I'm just dry fitting right now. Not gonna screw anything in. And we will need to leave a little gap for this electric wiring here. The conduit, I think it's called, but that's okay because it'll give us a little bit of room to breathe back here as well. So there's the first one. Looks like the second or the first short cabinet won't have to be cut at all because they're 20 inches and this is longer than 20 inches from the side here. So let me grab another cabinet. I labeled them so I knew exactly where they fit together best. Yeah, now I'm gonna cut out the backs so that I can push them a bit closer to the wall there. So now that I've got them all lined up and those parts are cut out, I just need to attach them all to each other and to the wall to make sure that they're all secure. I did this big one first and it's looking good. And so now I'm just gonna base everything off of this one and make sure that we are as flush as possible to the wall. And these aren't perfect cabinets by any means, so I'll just make it work, kind of rig it a little bit to make it look the best that it can so that they are at least functional. Bada bing, bada boom. This is all attached super well and it is on there good. So that is where I call it a night. I got a lot accomplished today because before I started recording, I actually built doors for each cabinet. I didn't record it because honestly, it's not like a complete botch job, but definitely not the way that doors should be made. Basically, they're only pretty on the outsides. I'll show you when I start to actually install them. But my next job is going to be cleaning them up. Well, I need to do a little bit of filling and some sanding, and then I'll be cleaning them up. And then I am gonna be actually priming them and painting them because I just feel like I want to have a more cohesive space to where it just feels a little bit more mine. I never finished it over there, so it always just felt and looked unfinished. But here, like I told you in video 1 of this workshop makeover, I want to stay organized, and I think that this is going to be one of the top ways that I am going to be able to do this is by allowing everything to have its own spot. So once I get everything painted and primed, then I'll be attaching the doors. I'm super excited to see just how this turns out. I still have the countertops as well. So that's next steps, and I don't know, I might do a little bit more tonight because I'm kind of I don't know, still kind of in the mood to work. So I'll probably do some filling and sanding here pretty soon, and then I'll prime and paint tomorrow. So last night I just stayed a little longer and I filled in all of the cracks and like the nail holes. So now this morning I'm here and I'm gonna sand. I've got a 120 grit and we're just gonna smooth everything out and then get rid of all the dust. Okay, now that everything is sanded and I also kind of dusted everything, I am going to tape off the areas that I don't want paint. So it's kind of a lot because I really just need to paint the outside face frames and then the sides of the tall cabinets. But of course I don't want the primer and paint on the walls. So I need to be careful with that, and that's why I'm gonna use this Painter's Plastic Tape Duo. I use this on my furniture a lot and it comes like this. So there's tape here and plastic here. Typically I just get it at Home Depot or Menards or Lowe's. I have found better luck in person than I have ever found like on Amazon or something like that. So now it's time for the fun stuff. The not so fun stuff, the prep, and then we'll get to priming here very soon. That was a lot of taping off. I didn't even record it all, but I went ahead and taped off like the insides of the cabinets too. I know it's just a workbench and it's gonna be in the shop and it's just me, but I wanted to contain the overspray to not go inside the cabinets too. But now I'm ready to prime. I'm using some paint that I already had on hand. So we're gonna start with this Wise Owl stain blocking primer. And I'm just gonna dump it into my Wagner Flexio 5000 here. I'm still using the fine tip nozzle just like I do on regular furniture, and I should be using a strainer, but I packed them all away, and so I hope I don't regret this. I hope there's not really very many chunks in here, but we'll see. Do as I say, not as I do. Always strain your paint. I'm ready to spray. Okay, so I may be done priming the bulk of it, well, the built-in portions of it, but I've still got all of these doors that I told you I made, and they need to be primed as well. So I'll show you really quick. This is like a drawer front that I made, but they look good on the outside. The insides are gonna be a little bit crazy. I just used a router, wasn't really too careful on how I did it, but I did caulk the seams, and the outsides at least are gonna look pretty, which I'm happy about, honestly. I love the way that they turned out, and once I prime and paint them, it'll be great. I'm only gonna be painting the outsides of them, so I'm gonna lay them all out on this drop cloth here, and then I'll be able to prime them with my sprayer pretty easily. I'm gonna use these painter's pyramids that I have and prop them up so that way they don't stick to the drop cloth and things will go a little bit quicker. Is all dry now, so I figured I'm gonna go ahead and do at least one coat of paint tonight. I'm gonna be using the Wise Owl 1 hour enamel. Again, I had this on hand and I was trying to cut costs, and I had a pretty good amount of this gallon left. This is shade green, and then I also had some dark green of another color of Wise Owl, so I dumped it in there, made sure it was all shook up. So I should have enough for 2 coats on all of the cabinets and the doors. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this on. I am so excited to see this come together. I think that the green is really gonna make it, like the gray looks really good, but the green is just gonna level it up a notch, because you guys know I love doing furniture green, so that's kind of why I went with this color as well. Not only did I have plenty of it, but I love the color as well. So let's get to spraying and see it all come to life. I believe this is day 3 of getting these cabinets all set up and giving them a makeover. But we're kind of getting to the home stretch today. I already sanded them down just like with a really fine sanding pad to smooth everything out. There was a few rough patches, and so I wanted to smooth it all out since I didn't do that between the first coat of paint and primer. But now we're good to go. So I'm gonna do a coat 2 on the paint, and then once those dry, my plan is actually to go ahead and start installing the doors and see if I can get the drawers built on the 2 spots where I've got drawers, and then I'll move on to the countertops. But as far as the actual cabinet unit goes for itself, I think I should finish it up today. Fingers crossed. So let's get coat 2 on right now. right, coat 2 is finished. It's looking so good. I've got a fan on in here to kind of help speed up the drying process a bit, but I did use the 1 hour enamel. So in 1 hour, this should be hardened at least like 90%. So once it is dry, I will be able to immediately start to go ahead and put the door fronts on and start with the hinges and all of that fun stuff. So while it's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of the plastic and really get to start seeing how great this is looking already. I got one door installed already and it looks so good. I cannot wait to get all of these installed. Honestly, it is not as hard as I thought maybe it was gonna be attaching these doors. The hinges that I got are really easy to install, and I just used some Craig tools and allowed me to drill nice big holes for the hinges to go in. I put the hinges on here, and then all I need to do is screw these hinges to the inside of this door, and then it'll be done. Again, they aren't perfect. Of course, you can see this gap right here. That might mean that like my door is a little bit crooked or something is going on, but it's workshop cabinets. This is my first time ever. I'm not going for perfect, but this is going to just, I don't know, I'm gonna feel very accomplished when this is finished. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to get all of these installed, but I'm just gonna kind of bang them out right now and we'll go from door to door. You guys, I got all the doors on. It looks great. I am debating on hardware still, but I am so thrilled with how this is looking so far. It's gonna be so much more functional now that I've actually got the doors on. And then obviously it's not 100% finished because I need to put the countertops on. But I don't just want to throw the plywood countertops on the tops. I have a plan for how I am going to also make over the plywood countertops. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring those over. And yes, I know I still need to do the drawers, but I think I'm gonna save that for later when I'm ready to build the drawer boxes and like when I do some more research on that, honestly. So now I'm gonna bring the countertops over and put them on, make sure that we don't need any adjustments as far as measurements go. And then I'll show you what I'm planning for the look of the tops of this workbench. So obviously at first when I were over there, they were separate. So they were finished on one of the like sides. So that's why I want to dry fit them really quick to see if I need to make any adjustments as far as like sizing goes. But I'm gonna get this up there. thinking that this edge piece needs to come off, and then I need to cut this off, this little mitered corner, and then it should fit better. We got it all on there and I fitted it. I just had to take those two side pieces off like I had thought, the ones that like finished it out on the other cabinets. Now those meet in the middle and there's a little gap. So what I'm gonna do is put some Bondo on there and go ahead and sand that down and really just smooth everything out and make sure it's all nice and level and flat. That way we can have a nice even workspace there. And then with the method that I'm gonna use, you won't see the Bondo or really any of the plywood because it's all going to be covered up. But before I do the Bondo, I want to go ahead and secure the tops here. And I'm gonna do that by just inserting the pocket screws from the bottom up like I had originally done. I just removed all those screws to get the top off, but now I'm just gonna go ahead, go through, pocket hole everything, and then it'll all be nice and secure so we can do that Bondo. I wanna do this now because it needs to be in the place it's going to be so it doesn't shift and things like that when the Bondo is already dry. I don't want it to crack or anything like that. Okay, I got the top all smoothed out on this crease where I put the Bondo, but now, like I said, I want to make this look more like real wood. Like it is real wood, it's plywood, and it has an okay finish, but because of that Bondo spot and then just the overall look and color of it, I want to change it so that it's all much more cohesive. And with Retique It, I am going to basically create a butcher block look for less, which I'm really excited about. Retique It is this line of products that there's like wooden primer, which has 60% wood fibers inside of the primer. So it really gives you that wood textured look. And then there's also the stains that they have so that you can really customize whatever color you want. There's also a wood graining tool, which I'm probably going to be using. I forgot to grab it over here. And then of course there's the top coat to make everything super durable. This is gonna be a workbench, but if you're using it for furniture or for even countertops, you can change like Formica countertops into butcher block countertops. Those things, they really need to be top coated and protected with this so that they hold up for a really long time. There's so many cool projects that you could do with Retique It, and I'll link it all down below. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to be using the light wooden primer. This is one of the options, but there are several different colors of primer. There's like a medium and a dark, I believe. So I'm gonna use the light because I wanna go for a little bit of a lighter look, but I will be darkening it up with some stain as well. So other than that, I'm gonna get started and we're gonna be using this brush here to apply the primer. I'm gonna go all in one direction, long ways across the surface of the countertop, and then we'll let it dry. went ahead and did a second coat on the wooden primer. So now that that's dry, I'm ready to go ahead and do the first step in staining it. And this is really where the process starts. Well, I guess the wooden primer helps it look like wood, but this is where you're gonna get the true wood look with the wood graining tools. So these are what I was talking about. There's like a larger one and then there's a smaller one. I think I'm gonna use a combination of both of them. And then I'm going to use the color Barnwood, which is this really pretty brown. And this is a gel stain, so it's a little bit thicker. All I'm gonna be doing is taking my brush and going all the way across one stripe in the back and work my way forward. And then once I get that all on there, then I will take this stripe by stripe or strip by strip and just kind of rock this along the surface. And the great thing is this is pretty workable. So if I don't like the way that it looks on the first pass, I can always brush over it and then go another pass until I get a look that I really like. Definitely one of those it looks worse before it looks better projects. This looks absolutely wild, but I can definitely see the wood grain and how it's really going to come together once I put the next coat of stain on. So once this dries, I'll be putting the exact same gel stain that I used for the actual wood markings, and that will really even everything out and it'll look a lot better. So crossing my fingers, but I've done this before, so I know it is scary. So if you're doing this and it looks scary, make sure you do the entire process before you freak out, because it's totally gonna be worth it. So next up, now that the first step of making the wood grain is dry, I'm gonna take the exact same gel stain and I am gonna just do a regular coating over it. I'm still gonna work from side to side and make sure that I'm going like all the way across before I start a new line, or at least I'm going to go back across so that it's just one continuous brush stroke mark. That's gonna really help emulate the look of real wood, and it's gonna eliminate any like start-stop marks with the brush. This is when it should all start coming together. Ready for the last step of this countertop, which is to top coat. And I am gonna be using the Reteak It Triple Teak. This does have like a satin finish, so it's gonna give me a really durable surface, and it's gonna be really easily wipeable, which I think is important for this type of workbench, because in case I ever spill paint or something, if I get to it right away, I should be able to just wipe it up quick and it won't ruin the integrity and the look of the overall workbench. But obviously I know that it's gonna get dirty. This is just going to help me as much as possible protect it. And again, like I said before, using this on countertops or tabletops, things like that, this has a really high protection, I guess, like I've used it before and it's like almost water repellent, and it's just really good, honestly. So I am excited that I can use this on this product. Whenever I use a product, I like to stick to that same product throughout the whole process. So you'll probably have noticed I used the primer and the stain and the top coat all from Reteak It. Do you have to do that? No, you don't have to do that, but obviously they were made to work together. So in my opinion, that's just the way that I like to do it. But I could definitely use a different top coat if I so chose, or even you can use different stains as well with the wooden primer. So if you've stained something a different color before, you could also use that stain over the top. So I've got my brush here. I'm gonna just brush along the top, make sure I get everywhere, and I'll probably do 3 coats of this just for that utmost protection. So the last portion of this little workbench build that I am doing is on the wall, and I want to make sure that I have a good spot for all of my tools that I use frequently, but I want it to be easily accessible, but then also easy to just put away whenever I am finished. So I'm setting myself up for success right now. And I looked on Amazon and I found this, seems to have really good reviews. And it is a slat wall that I am going to put up. So it comes with 8 of these panels, and then you can basically put it in any shape that you want it to be. So these are like 1 foot by 4 foot panels. So if you wanted, you could have them like all in a long line. For me, I'm gonna do 4 stacked, and I'm gonna have 3 stacks of 4. So it's gonna be like a 12-foot long slat wall here. And then I'm gonna have 4 left over because I ordered 2 kits, which comes with 8 each. And so I probably am gonna find somewhere else around the workshop to put those other 4 in however, whatever configuration I want. So that way I can have more storage over there. But on this wall specifically, it's only like 13.5 inches, so I couldn't have the full 16 feet, which is totally okay. I think 12 feet is gonna be plenty for the tool storage. So I've got everything all marked out. The yellow tape is my studs, and then the only really thing that you have to do to get ready to put these on is to mark on your slats and drill pilot holes where your studs are, which I was like, oh man, it's a bummer that they don't already have them drilled. But at the same time, although studs are supposed to be 16 inches apart on all builds, sometimes they're not, let's be honest. So this is actually a really great way to make it like usable for all sorts of places. So what I'm gonna do is I've leveled out the line here for this bottom corner piece. I think once I get this one piece hung, the rest of it is gonna go by super well and super fast. So I've got 6 holes in each panel, and then I've got my screws that I'm gonna screw right into the studs so that it'll be nice and secure. And then in turn, we'll be able to hold all of the weight of my tools. It's important that you go into the studs or else it's gonna like probably rip down the drywall after time. So let's get this slat wall installed. I got 3 done. I really love it. And I'm thinking maybe I won't go up a 4th row. I'm gonna leave it at 3 for now because I'm thinking when I'm when I'm standing down on the ground, am I even gonna be able to get stuff off of the 4th row? And then plus it'll go like above the cabinets. So maybe 3 is enough, and then I'll have 3 extra slats or panels to put elsewhere with the other 4. The next step in the process is to add hardware to the cabinet fronts, because although they're pretty easy to just open, and I'll probably just do that most of the time, I thought that it would just add a little bit more fun, and I love hardware, so why not? I had these on hand, which pretty much all of this project has been with stuff that I've had on hand except for the slat wall. So I'm kind of calling that a win because I didn't really have to spend much extra money for this whole setup, which just time, which honestly, it kind of took me a bit longer than I thought it was going to take. But I'm really loving the way that it's all turning out, and I know that it's going to help me in the long run. So I'm super glad that I decided to tackle this project before moving everything over here. But the hardware that I chose is these little champagne bronze knobs right there. And then I only had 10 of these, but I needed 13 pieces of hardware. So I got the handles. I had some of these left over from another project as well. And so the handles paired with the knobs are going to look really good. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and install all of those. And then I have one more thing on this workbench wall that I'm gonna do besides put all of the things in it. And then that will be the final reveal. I'm super excited. Let's get this hardware on. So this is what I decided to do after putting up the slat wall and kind of just feeling like there was a blank space up here, that it would be a really good idea to just put my business name up. And I have been dying to use this ever since I found it at a thrift store one time. It's a wooden @ symbol, and I think I got it like 4 years ago or something, and I just kept it around, was always gonna use it for something, and here is my idea. I am going to be putting it right here. I matched the color of it with the color of the counter, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here with my nail gun so that it's like at Furniture Flipping Teacher. I love it. Okay, let's put this up. The workbench wall, whole situation here is now complete and ready to be filled up with all of my tools and all of my supplies. And I think this is just going to really help bring me from the old shop to this shop. This is part of the sweetness of the bittersweet I was talking about. So I can't wait to get this all filled up. So the last thing I want to do in this corner over here is to go ahead and kind of set up my spray booth. So I got a drop cloth, and then I've got this 10 by 10 canopy, and I think it's going to give me a lot more space. I'm not throwing out, but I'm not gonna be using my Wagner spray tent anymore. Since I have such a large space, I figured that I can have a larger spray area, and I have used these canopies in the past, and it's really been great. So now that I've got the big space again, I figured why not utilize this space. So I'm going to put a canopy up here with some side walls, and then it's gonna still contain the overspray, but it'll all be just like a little bit more space for me. They really only had 9 by 12 drop cloths. I couldn't find any that were 10 by 10, which is weird, at least on Amazon. So I figured that we'll make the 9 by 12 work. And even though this is 10 by 10, that's all right. We'll have a little bit sticking out, or I'll fold it over or something. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. I do have to still put the sides up, and then I'm gonna have to figure out something with lighting in here to where the paint isn't getting on the lighting, but that I have like good lighting, because it's a little darker in here. Obviously, this is, you know, protecting from the light. So yeah, but this is gonna be great. I'll either leave this side open as the spray, like the entrance, or this side. I'm not sure. Ideally both, because of like camera angles. So maybe I can do like half of a wall here or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, woo! One more step closer. All right, that's a wrap on this video on the workbench build. Got the spray booth all set up. This corner of the shop is pretty much ready to be moved into, which I am just so stoked about. Like, this is a big accomplishment because I knew it was gonna take a while, but I'm glad that I just took the time before moving all the stuff over here. And now I've got to work on that half of the shop, mostly on the staging wall. So get subscribed down below. I am going to show you how to build a staging wall next week. I'm really excited. I have a couple of things that I need to work around, which you hopefully won't have in your space if you're wanting to learn how to do a staging wall or do a staging wall in general. But I am just excited to get the rest of this place all set up, and it's just transforming so well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the new setup down below in the comments. Thanks for all the love and support on the videos that I've been posting over the past several weeks. We'll see you next week, and I'll see you on the flip side.